head over to Elias with a question from Josh, who said, heard you guys talk about the bucket strategy for income and retirement, but when exactly do I implement that? Before retirement, the day of retirement, 5 days after retirement, 2 weeks after? I'm 61. I'm thinking of retiring next year. I'm trying to figure out what to do and when to do it. What do you say to somebody like Josh who's counting down the days until retirement there, Jonas? Elias, sorry about that. I apologize.
I say ask Elias.
Josh, you are correct. You've heard us talk about the bucket strategy a lot. It's something we not only talk about a lot, we do a lot. I think I could probably do it in my sleep at this point. This is a great question, and what he's really getting at is timing of when to prepare the bucket strategy. So I want to talk about a couple things. One, what does the bucket strategy do? And then how does it work? And then a timeline to think about implementation. The bucket strategy is really a roadmap that does 5 things. Clarifies your income needs, defines the withdrawal strategy, segments the accounts and assigns responsibility by time horizon, coordinates taxes, and then ongoing way to rebalance and adjust your portfolio. So here's what the buckets are. Bucket 1, we call our short-term bucket or the liquid bucket. We view it as money that you're going to spend in the next 1 to 3 years. And the reason for that, the longest bear market ever was nearly 3 years long, happened in the Great Depression. So the money you're going to spend from today to 3 years out, it's a good idea to have in short-term investments, cash and cash alternatives. I can do a quick answer for Josh, and we'll talk about the next 2 buckets. He's retiring within the next year. I think 12 to 18 months is a very appropriate time to start analyzing how much cash am I going to need in my liquid bucket. So yesterday or today, Josh, for your short answer.
Well, especially because markets are at all-time highs. We're all-time highs.
Just another great reason to review and start preparing your cash.
100%.
That's a great point, because it's also a little bit of, what are you waiting for? We've had great returns. Let's take some chips off the table.
If he doesn't do it, he runs the risk of waiting a year. Now the market has a 20% correction. What's he going to do then?
He's going to think about staying at work.
That's exactly what will happen.
And what I like to say, everything's better in a bull market.
I like that.
That's a very good saying, Jonas.
So let's get your bucket strategy.
Bucket 2 is the midterm bucket. We really view it as money you're going to spend 4, 5, and 6 years from today. It's really designed for moderate growth and replenishing bucket 1. So if you have dividends or interest being paid in bucket 2 and you're taking money out, those interest and dividends will not be reinvested. They're going to go back to bucket 1 and refill that short-term liquid bucket. And then we have bucket 3, which is the long-term growth bucket. That's money we view you will be spending at least 6 years or more from today. And this is really the fun bucket, the exciting bucket. This is your growth. This is your stock market strategy, your long-term growth. Here's what this type of strategy does for people. One, when the market's volatile, you don't have to worry about your spending money today. When you need to rebalance, you've already decided, when I rebalance, I have buckets to fill up. Bucket 3 fills up bucket 2. Bucket 2 fills up bucket 1. Pretty simple, right?
Yeah.
So, built-in way to deal with fluctuations, built-in way to know where your money's going when you rebalance. So for Josh, he's within the timeline that I'm looking at. Let's build some cash now. And you can either reallocate gradually or all at once. If I'm 60, going to retire at 61, I'm looking at my performance the last couple of years. I'm going to raise the cash. That's what I'm going to do at this time with where the market is.
I have one
that
thing
could change depending on environment.
One thing to add to that.
Please do.
it's crucial that he figures out what his risk capacity is, because it's almost impossible to implement that without knowing how much risk do you have to take to be successful. Because that's how you would allocate the bucket. That's part of how you allocate the buckets outside of that cash bucket. That's the one thing that you can't do that bucket strategy in an optimal manner without understanding your risk capacity. And then the risk capacity and buckets ultimately keep you on track from making bad investor mistakes.
Excellent point. Your risk capacity will define the allocation. Bucket strategy is going to manage the cash flow, essentially. So, but those two things married together, as Roger mentioned, that's going to set you up for a very successful retirement.
If you go to premieriwm.com, there is a downloadable portfolio that you can grab a hold of. It's called 10 Critical Steps to Take Before Retirement. And it will, you read through that. I think it's going to encourage you to get in touch with one of my friends, Premier Investments and Wealth Management, in order to make an appointment so you can get your personalized strategy. This is not cookie cutter stuff, okay? You're talking about bucket strategies in 1 to 3 years, and then 4 to 6 years, and 5 to 10 years. It's all dependent on you. Everything from how you invest to the timeline for investing to what you're investing for. Premier Investments and Wealth Management website at premieriwm.com. Click Get Started. Answer a few questions. They will provide for you a one-page Premier Vision document, and they will give you a free meeting to go over it with them, and you can keep that document as well. 800-383-6590 is the telephone number to call so that you can make your appointment, as well as doing that online. Premier Investments and Wealth Management, named a 2025 Forbes Best in State Wealth Management Team.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. The opinions voiced in this show are for general information purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial or tax advisor prior to investing. Premier Investments in Wealth Management and LPL Financial do not provide specific individualized tax or legal advice. We suggest that you discuss your specific situation with a qualified tax or legal advisor. Economic forecasts set forth may not develop as predicted, and there can be no guarantee that strategies promoted will be successful. All performance referenced is historical and is not a guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly. There is no assurance that the techniques and strategies discussed are suitable for all investors or will yield positive outcomes. The purchase of certain securities may be required to affect some of the strategies. Investing involves risks, including possible loss of principal. There is no guarantee that a diversified portfolio will enhance overall returns or outperform a non-diversified portfolio. Diversification does not protect against market risk. Forbes Best in State Wealth Management Team's ranking was developed by Shook Research and is based on in-person, virtual, and telephone due diligence meetings, and a ranking algorithm that includes a measure of each team's best practices, client retention, industry experience, review of compliance records, firm nominations, and quantitative criteria, including assets under management and revenue generated for their firm. Investment performance is not a criterion because client objectives and risk tolerances vary, and advisors rarely have audited performance reports. Shook's research and rankings provide opinions intended to help investors choose the right financial advisor and team, and are not indicative of future performance or representative of any one client's experience. Past performance is not an indication of future results. Neither Forbes nor Shook Research receive compensation in exchange for placement on the ranking. For more information, please see www.shookresearch.com. Shook is a registered trademark of Shook Research, LLC.